Welcome to Shatter.
Support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I promise even more interesting stories. She said she was working late. No explanation. No apology. Just a quick text at 7:42 p.m. Still at the office? Don't wait up. And I almost believed her. Almost. But belief fades fast when instinct kicks in. And mine had been warning me for weeks. The night before, I'd installed a discreet home security update. Not because I didn't trust the neighborhood, but because lately, something in our home didn't feel safe. Something behind her eyes had changed. She'd been moving differently, too polished, too rehearsed. I wasn't looking for evidence. I was preparing for clarity. That night, the footage synced automatically to my phone at 8:17 p.m. She didn't know the front door camera had been repositioned. She thought her lies still had blind spots. They didn't. She wasn't in office attire. She didn't leave with her laptop bag. She wasn't even holding her phone. But she was smiling. Wide. Loose. The way you do when no one's watching, except someone was. Him. He was in the driver's seat. I'd seen him once before. A charity event she insisted I skip. Said it would be boring. Said I wouldn't enjoy being around her colleagues. I had nodded. That was 3 weeks ago. Now I watched as she slid into his car like it was second nature. No hesitation. No fear. The footage was only 17 seconds long. But I replayed it 9 times. Not because I needed to be sure. I already was. But because it was the last time I'd ever look at her with any trace of confusion. Everything made sense now. The distance. The silence. The late nights. The showers before dinner. The new perfume. The forgotten details. The way she stopped asking me about my day. It wasn't absence. It was transfer. She had moved on without telling me. That's when something inside me shut off. Not violently. Not emotionally. Just permanently. Like a fuse flipping. I didn't call her. Didn't ask where she was. Didn't confront. I didn't even save the footage. I didn't need it. What I saw was enough. I just sat there in the dark, phone in hand, pulse calm, and decided she would never get the chance to lie to me again. The first time someone else hinted at it, I was in line at the office cafe. It was casual. Quick. One of those slip-ups that's dressed like small talk. A guy from marketing, Ryan, smiled like he always did. Too wide, too friendly. "You and Lauren still solid?" he asked, stirring his coffee. I said nothing at first. Just raised an eyebrow. He chuckled, then backpedaled. Just saw her leaving that gala last month with Derek from the finance team. Figured you were there too." I wasn't. And Ryan realized too late that I wasn't smiling back. That was the moment I knew I wasn't imagining it. The footage hadn't lied. And now neither could she. But still, I didn't say a word. I nodded slowly, thanked him for the coffee tip, and walked away. No reaction. No cracks. Just ice forming beneath the surface. That evening, she came home wearing the same heels I saw on camera. Tossed her bag on the counter like nothing happened. Gave me a peck on the cheek. Poured a glass of wine. Talked about the new intern's chaotic presentation. I nodded in all the right places. She had no idea I was already building an exit in my mind. Every word she spoke was a quiet confirmation. Every casual lie stacked like bricks on a wall I no longer intended to climb. I didn't want revenge. I wanted release. The part that struck me wasn't the betrayal. It was how good she got at pretending. She texted him in the bathroom. I saw the way her screen dimmed when I walked by. I noticed how her voice dropped when she answered unknown numbers. The giggle she used to reserve for me, she now gave away freely. But none of it made me flinch anymore. I started keeping my answers short. Let her lead conversations into dead ends. She began to notice the silence, but couldn't name it yet. She thought I was tired, distracted, maybe even bored. She still believed I was in the game. That's what made it beautiful. Because while she plotted in the shadows, thinking I was blind, I had already stepped into the light. And once you see everything, you can't unsee it. She was careful, I'll give her that. But no one's careful forever. Not when they're hiding something they want more than they fear losing you. I didn't go digging for evidence. I just started noticing things that didn't add up. She said she skipped lunch meetings, yet Uber receipts showed short rides across town during the exact hours she claimed to be chained to her desk. A hotel bar here. A boutique coffee spot there. Places I'd never heard mentioned before. Her credit card history was worse. 2 identical charges from the same florist, 2 weeks apart. Both on days she'd come home with no flowers. One of them fell on a Monday night, I remembered clearly. She said she had a client dinner. She came back, exhausted, and went straight to bed. Now I knew why she didn't want to talk that night. The next detail was smaller, but louder. A lunch reservation for two at a steakhouse she always claimed to hate. I'd suggested it on my birthday last year. She said the smell made her nauseous. Apparently, not anymore. I didn't bring any of it up. I didn't even flinch when she casually mentioned how tired she was from a long day at the office. She didn't know I'd seen the timestamp on the lunch receipt. 1:11 p.m., clear as day, with her initials in the reservation note. I began taking quiet steps. Logged out of our shared cloud account. Moved essential files off my devices. Transferred money to a secondary bank. Booked a storage unit under a different name. Each move was precise, silent, and final. She still smiled when she walked past me in the kitchen. Still texted me things like, "Miss you," when I left for work. But I wasn't there anymore. Not emotionally. Not mentally. And soon, not physically either. Because the thing about evidence is, it doesn't scream. It just accumulates. Quietly. Logically. Until you're standing on a mountain of it. And the person who built it has no idea how high it's gotten. She thought she was playing chess in the dark. But I had already flipped the board. It started with silence. No fight. No accusations. No dramatic confrontation. Just space. More than she was used to. More than she knew how to fill. I stopped replying to her texts immediately. Let her on my way messages sit unread. Came home later than usual. Stopped explaining why. She noticed. First, it was soft, joking questions, playful tones. Where'd you disappear to? Late meeting again. I just nodded. She smiled less after that. Then I turned off my location sharing. She called that night. I let it ring. Then rang again. By morning, she was pacing the apartment like a scene from a psychological drama. Checking rooms I never used. Double-checking the calendar for anniversaries she might have forgotten. There were none. She called twice during my lunch break. I didn't answer. At 6:34 p.m., she messaged, "Can we talk?" I opened it. Left it on read. The following day, I was gone before sunrise. No note. No message. Just a duffel bag and cold air left behind. She tried to call again at 9:12 a.m. Straight to voicemail. I had switched phones. That weekend, she reached out to my friend Marcus, then my sister. They told her the same thing. He's okay. He just needs space. She didn't understand what kind of space meant this kind of silence. Because silence like mine wasn't empty. It was full of intent, of calculation, of decision. I wasn't avoiding her. I was preparing a world where she no longer existed. I checked her socials once, just to confirm. She was posting like nothing had changed. Group dinners. Coffee dates. A quote about healing energy. But the panic was in the captions. Shorter now. Less confident. The likes were dropping. Even the ones who used to cheer her on had gone quiet. Because everyone senses when something's unraveling, even if no one says it out loud. She called again that Sunday night. My new number didn't ring. I watched her name flash across the backup screen I kept in a drawer, face down. And I smiled, not because I won, but because I was finally untouchable. I didn't care about him at first. He was just a symptom. A placeholder. The echo of what she thought she deserved in place of what she had. But once I saw his name on a joint bank transaction, his, not mine, I got curious. Derek Hughes, corporate finance manager at a mid-tier firm downtown. He dressed well, drove a leased Audi, wore the kind of watch that looked expensive until you knew what to look for. I looked, and what I found wasn't scandalous. It was worse, sloppy. Overstated deductions on his last 2 quarterly reports. 2 small vendors marked as affiliate contracts, both connected to his cousin's startup. 1 shared IP address across 3 invoices. All buried deep in the line items no one reads unless they're searching. I wasn't searching for revenge. I was searching for leverage. And I found it in under 3 hours. I didn't call him. Didn't threaten. Didn't even create a fake account to drop the files. I just uploaded a PDF to an anonymous email and sent it directly to the firm's compliance department. Flagged internal discrepancy. No name. No demand. Just data. It took 6 business days. I watched the ripples from a distance. LinkedIn status changed from active to open to work. The company scrubbed his profile. Mutual contacts started removing tags from photos. By the following week, she stopped posting altogether. No more soft smiles. No group outings. Just silence. I imagine she called him. I imagine he didn't answer. Or maybe he did, coldly. Maybe he told her she was a liability now. Either way, it worked. Not because I exposed him, but because I never claimed the credit. That's what made it lethal. She'll never know how it unraveled. Just that it did, fast, and without a single trace back to me. And while her carefully curated world collapsed in the background, I booked a trip. One way. Out of state. New place. New name on the lease. No shared anything. Because I wasn't just leaving her. I was erasing every version of myself that had ever needed to stay. Her fall wasn't cinematic. It was quiet. Subtle. The kind of collapse that doesn't come with screaming or slamming doors. Just a long stretch of silence that even she couldn't fill. It started with whispers. A colleague at her firm, Claire, made an offhand remark during a Monday meeting. You know, it's wild how fast things shift when people think no one's watching. The room went still. No one named names. But Lauren didn't speak for the rest of the hour. Then came her sister. They met for brunch, something they hadn't done in months. But it wasn't warm. It wasn't catching up. Her sister kept glancing at her phone, responding with one-word answers. Eventually, she said it outright. You've changed. And not in a good way. Lauren paid the bill and didn't hug her goodbye. Her best friend, Amanda, went radio silent after that. No likes, no comments, no texts. Just vanished. Quiet exits, one after the other. Like people were slipping away from her orbit, one boundary at a time. Even her boss noticed. He pulled her into his office. Not for discipline, but distance. You're distracted, he said. You might want to take some time. Regroup. She took 2 days off. She didn't call me once. Because by then, she knew I wasn't going to answer. The last party she attended alone told the rest of the story. I wasn't there, but I didn't need to be. A friend of mine texted me the next morning. She looked off. No sparkle. People barely spoke to her. The irony? She used to command every room. Now, even the room rejected her. That's what happens when your social circle starts realizing the version of you they believed in was just that. A version. Fabricated. Deliberate. Convenient. And without it, she wasn't feared. She wasn't envied. She was just alone. She had always worried about being seen as average. And now, she couldn't even hold on to that. Not because of me. Not because of him. But because in trying to control everything, she forgot that people notice patterns. And patterns always end up telling the truth. I was still in the city. Not hiding, not running, just elsewhere. Same time zone, same streets. But in a world she no longer had access to. She didn't know where I'd gone. But I hadn't left completely. I just shifted, rerouted my routines, changed my gym, my coffee spot, my grocery store. I was 2 blocks away from our old life, yet entirely unreachable. And that made her unravel faster than any confrontation ever could. I could see it in the way she started showing up in places she never used to go. A silent search, disguised as routine. I watched her once. She sat alone at the cafe I'd stopped frequenting, eyes flicking up every time the door opened. She wasn't reading the book in her lap. She was hoping, but I wasn't coming. She tried calling again, this time from a landline. No voicemail, just a call log she knew I'd never return. Then, she texted, I just want to talk. Not to fix things, just to understand. But I wasn't offering understanding anymore. I was offering distance. A kind of cold that wasn't cruel. It was clean. Final. I went to my old building once, not to see her, but to see if she'd changed anything. The plants I used to water were dead. Her car was parked crooked. The light in the hallway flickered, and no one had bothered to fix it. That told me everything. She wasn't maintaining. Not the space. Not the story. Not herself. The silence I left behind had taken root, and now it was growing around her, squeezing out whatever attention she thought she could still get. I didn't need updates. But they found me anyway. One of her old colleagues messaged me. Whatever happened between you two, she's not the same. I said nothing, because it wasn't my job to correct their assumptions. Let them believe she was brokenhearted. Let them think she missed me. The truth was simpler. She wasn't grieving a person. She was grieving control. And the more she tried to reclaim it, the more she realized. She had no idea how much of her power was built on my presence. And now, I was just gone. It was a Tuesday. Unremarkable. Overcast. The kind of day where nothing big is supposed to happen. She showed up at my new apartment. Not the building. My actual door. I don't know how she found it. Maybe she paid someone. Maybe she followed someone I trusted. Either way, it didn't matter, because I had already prepared for it. I saw her through the peephole. She hesitated for a second, like even she wasn't sure if she should be there. Then, 3 knocks. No doorbell. Just that hollow sound of someone trying to pretend they're not desperate. I opened the door. Slowly. No greeting. No smile. Just eyes. She looked tired. Not physically, emotionally. The kind of exhaustion that comes from pretending for too long and finally running out of script. She said, "I just want to talk." I nodded. Stepped aside. Let her walk into a space that didn't have a single trace of her. No framed photos. No shared memories. Not even the same scent. She scanned the room like she was looking for proof that she hadn't been replaced. There was none. She sat. I didn't. I stood across from her, silent. "I don't even know where to start," she said. I said nothing. She tried again. "I know I hurt you. But it wasn't all fake. You know that, right?" Still, I didn't speak. Because I knew why she was really there. She didn't want truth. She wanted relief. She wanted me to give her a reaction. Anger, sadness, even hatred. Anything that proved she still had access. But I had nothing left to give her. She filled the silence with broken sentences, timelines, half excuses. At one point, she said, "I didn't expect you to just disappear." I raised my eyes. And that was the only thing I gave her. No closure. No forgiveness. No explanations. Because what she wanted wasn't peace. It was permission to feel less guilty. But guilt wasn't my burden. That was hers to carry. So when she finally stood up to leave, eyes wet, hands trembling, she paused by the door. "I guess you really don't care anymore." I looked at her one last time and said, calm and measured, "I cared. Until I didn't." And I closed the door behind her, softly. After she left that night, I didn't think about her for weeks. Not because I forced myself to forget, but because forgetting had become natural. My days were full. Mornings at the gym. Late afternoons working with clients who respected me. Evenings spent in silence, not loneliness. I moved into a cleaner version of life. No loose ends, no emotional weight. And while I rose quietly, she unraveled publicly. Her job put her on probation. Not for scandal, just inconsistency. Missed deadlines. Skipped meetings. Mood swings that disrupted entire teams. Word got around that she wasn't stable anymore. The kind of red flag no one says out loud, but everyone passes along. She moved out of our old place. Couldn't afford the rent alone. Someone posted a photo of the building half empty. Boxes on the sidewalk. One of them was hers. I recognized the old coffee table she never let me replace. Her car got towed the following month. A friend of mine saw it on a City Impound Lots Instagram page. Back wheel booted, license plate blurred. I didn't laugh. There was nothing funny about watching someone dissolve under the weight of their own illusions. She had spent years building an image, smart, irresistible, untouchable. But without me quietly holding up the scaffolding, it all caved in. I didn't reach out. Not when her name came up in conversation. Not when people asked, "Hey, whatever happened to?" I just nodded. Changed the subject. Not out of spite, but because she wasn't a subject anymore. She was a closed chapter. I heard she tried dating again. Briefly. It didn't last. The guy left after 2 weeks. Apparently, she was too intense. That was the word he used. She still posts sometimes. Quotes about healing, resilience, rebirth. But even her captions sound tired now. And when I see them, which I don't often, I don't feel anything. Not pity. Not anger. Not nostalgia. Because her collapse didn't belong to me. It was hers. Entirely. And I was finally free of carrying it. She called once more. Blocked number. Late at night. The kind of call you make when the silence has gotten louder than the pain itself. I didn't answer. Not because I was angry, but because by then, I'd already built an entire life without her shadow in it. A new place. Neutral walls. No ghosts in the closet or lipstick stains on glasses. I had built a rhythm that no longer skipped a beat when her name came up. And that rhythm was sacred now. Somewhere out there, she was still rewriting the story. Probably telling people I'd changed overnight. That I ghosted her. That I was emotionally unavailable, closed off, hard to love. Let her. Because the truth was quieter. And sharper. I didn't disappear to punish her. I disappeared because staying would have been a betrayal of myself. There's a version of me she'll never meet. The one that didn't have to explain why her silence cut deeper than any insult. The one who no longer needed to decode her moods, translate her contradictions, or wait for honesty that never came. That version of me doesn't flinch anymore. Doesn't answer unknown numbers. Doesn't rewind the past. He just walks forward. Every day. Without looking back. And her? She remains where I left her, in a story that ran out of pages the moment she mistook my silence for weakness. The moment she thought my kindness was permission. The moment she believed I wouldn't notice the mask slipping. But I noticed. I just didn't react. And that was the difference. Because men like me, when we leave, we don't slam doors. We don't scream. We don't break things. We simply disappear from her world, her story, her reach. Not with rage, but with reason. Not for revenge, but for restoration. And in the end, there's only one thing left echoing through the spaces we once filled together. I didn't leave. I just stopped showing up where I wasn't respected. Been through it. When they crossed a line, and you made sure they felt it.